further since we cracked some of those support levels. But today is just an amazing bounce back.
Hi, good afternoon, Abha. So yes, I think see broadly, index saw good correction in the last four, weeks time, where we witnessed almost all-time high close to 19,000, and then there was a correction towards almost 17,800. Now this 17,800 typically was a 100-day moving average. We saw good correction, but if you look at the other indicators like put call ratio was extremely oversold on Friday's trading session. We tested almost 0.65, 0.70 level in put call ratio, which was almost a kind of extreme oversold situation. If you also look at the RSI was also at an oversold kind of territory. And if you look at the FI or DI numbers, they were not aggressive in terms of their selling in the last 3-4 days. So clearly, I think it was more of a COVID related concern related kind of a dip which market witnessed and created a kind of pressure into the M2M of a lot of large traders. So I think it got a little, I would say, exaggerated because of these facts. But ideally, if you look at, we are at support zone at 17,800. There's a good 100-day moving average support, and since markets were extremely oversold, I think we are going to see a good bounce back. We have already witnessed it in today's trading session, but I think it might continue and we might jump towards 18,300 to 400 kind of trajectory in days to come.
Okay, let's take a look at some of those gainers and losers then and get a sense of what's where we're seeing strength in the market. Nifty Bank, 2.5% higher there on the Nifty Bank. That's obviously where some of that strength is coming. Look at IndusInd, 5% higher in today's session. It's been a strong one at that. SBI following suit, also looking good today. But let me take a few more. Look at a few more of those components. Even PNB is up about 8% right now. So clearly the banking pack, and it's a broad-based rally that we are seeing across some of those banking names as well, across private sector, PSUs, beaten down, favorites, everything seems to be coming back. But how would you assess it now, Ashish, given the recent turmoil? I mean, we had things like an IDFC down 15%, today it's up 5%, SPI has been fairly steady, but nothing survived the sort of sell-off that we saw on Friday. Where would be your preferences in the financials?
So yes, we are kind of have a overweight view on banking and financials because we firmly believe that both from a valuation perspective, the banks are reasonably valued, and if you look at specifically the PSU banks which are quoting, except SBI, which are quoting around zero point 0.7, zero point 0.8 time price to book, and it peak they've traded at 1.2 to 1.5 time price to book. So still there is a lot of room left for upside. Also, if you look at the loan growth momentum, whether it's in private and PSU banks, this is reasonably good. So in general, there is a 16-17% kind of systematic banking credit growth, but even PSU banks are seeing a growth of around 13 to 14% in the loan growth. So clearly, I think the momentum is good from business side, and also from the NIMS side, net interest margins are also improving for a lot of these banks, and this is getting reflected into the longer term technical charts of a lot of these banks, whether it's large cap private sector or even PSU banks. So if you look at PSU banks, they did a 78% rally year to date, and that's why when this correction came in the market, they were the first one to saw a big hit, and that's where the entire basket did a correction of 15 to 20%. And look at today, Union Bank is up close to 18-19% in a single day. PNB is up good 6-7%. So because there is a structural trend in these space, when the correction will come, because they were the one who did extremely good upside in a shorter term time frame, they will see some kind of intense selling pressure. But also in the case of reversal, they will be the first one to bounce back because there is a structural clarity. So my preference in the PSU banks, first obviously we'll go with SBI, where we firmly believe stock is poised for a move towards 640, 650 in a shorter term, and 720 positionally in next 3 to 5 months time frame. After this correction, I think there's a strong base now getting formed around 570 zone. So 570 should be the stop loss for going long into State Bank of India for an upside towards 720 zone. In the mid cap PSU banks, we like PNB. So PNB is seen a good loan growth momentum, and this is one stock which has seen a 18 to 19% correction from the peak. At current levels, I think a stock could be looked as an opportunity to add. On downside, I'll keep 50 as my trading stop loss. On upside, 60 to 65 would be my short-term target in Punjab National Bank.
Okay, interesting. Lots of banking stocks, financials to kind of look at there. Just as a side question, but what's your take on some of the insurance plays, Ashish?
So I think broadly, I think these are going to be laggards, but they have seen a time-wise time period correction in the last 1 year's time frame where they've not performed in line with index. Whether it's players like life insurance players like HDFC, ICICI Pru, or even a health insurance company like ICICI Lombard. But after a good time correction, I think there could be a good bounce back which could be witnessed. In terms of preference, I will go with SBI Life as our top pick in the space, where I think there's a good base being formed around 1200 trajectory. So keeping 1200 as my stop loss, I think this stock is poised towards 1320, 1340. But one stock in the new age segment which looks very promising to us is Policy Bazaar. So if you look at Policy Bazaar, controls almost 90% share in the online insurance broking. And this stock, after and had a cash of almost 5500 crores in the balance sheet, so that gives us a lot of comfort that this is one business which is not burning a lot of cash in an environment where you're seeing interest rates are going up. So this is one stock which looks quite promising. From a technical perspective, after hitting an all-time high of 1470, it is available at 450 rupees. So there is a significant discount at which we are getting this stock at current levels. After this correction, we are seeing some good base building happening. So 430, I think, is an area where a lot of support has been formed in the stock. So keeping that in mind, I think Policy Bazaar from a medium term perspective looks quite promising for 550 to 600 levels in next 2-3 months time frame.
Okay, that's interesting because I don't think I've had too many recommendations come in on any of the new age listings. So good to see something make it to one of those lists. Policy Bazaar is one to keep an eye on, according to Ashish. Let's talk about commodities for a moment. What would you do with that basket? Would you avoid completely, Ashish, your metals, or would you have slim pickings in the pack, a couple of the key, perhaps heavyweights, or would you feel it's going to be very uncertain given the global situation?
So I think metals will be very volatile in an
Yeah.
uncertain environment, considering China lockdown and the kind of inflationary pressure and recessionary concerns which we are having. But one segment within the commodities is looking promising is the aluminium sector, because if you look at aluminium is considered as green energy, and I think the way demand supply situation is panning out in aluminium, there is going to be a good demand supply mismatch which we are witnessing. So keeping that in mind, I think Hindalco is one stock which looks very promising. Also, if you look at because of Novelis and there is a kind of margins which is less affected by the cyclicality. So that's where a lot of consistency could be witnessed in Hindalco's EBITDA margin behavior, and that will make the stock less volatile compared with other commodity players. So keeping that in mind, I think Hindalco is our preferred bet in the commodities space. Stock has seen correction from 480, 490 to almost 430 kind of trajectory, now available at 440 rupees. So keeping that in mind, I think this is one stock which is offering a good risk reward. Keeping 430 as a stop loss, I think Hindalco could be bought into. On upside, 480, 490, which was the immediate high a couple of days back, could be retested in next couple of trading sessions.
Okay. What about Reliance? I mean, while we know everyone's positive on Reliance, but but if you had to, had to give it some kind of target range, anything specific that you're tracking on the counter for the moment?
So I think it looks like stock is going to remain sideways. We have not seen any significant outperformance when the markets were going up. At the same time, when markets saw good correction, in the last couple of days, stock didn't participated in that fall as well. So that gives us a sense that Reliance is going to remain sideways. We'll have a neutral call on Reliance at this point of time. From a technical perspective, what I need to see is that stock need to cross 2650 on a closing basis to really show some serious strength coming. Otherwise, I think it's going to be sideways between 2480 to 2580 kind of trajectory. So I think a lot of option writers are very happy looking Reliance at current levels because they are getting an opportunity to have a call writing positions against their holding, and I think that trade might continue to do well at least for next couple of weeks, since the till the time we don't see a crossover about 2650 zone.
All right, let's go across to Tanya, see what else is buzzing today. We discussed a whole host of the heavyweights that are contributing to today's gains. But Tanya, what else is catching your eye?
Absolutely. So first of all, GPT infra projects. So shares of GPT infra projects were up to the tune of 20% today, and the company has announced that its subsidiary RMS GTP Ghana Limited has bagged an order worth 123 crore rupees. So on the back of this news, the stock is in focus today. We have Tata Power as well. The shares were up over 3% today amid reports that the company is planning to raise up to 2,000 crore rupees via bonds for financing its business operations. We also have Poonawalla FinCorp as well. The shares were up over 12% today amid heavy volumes. And also, Motilal Oswal has initiated its coverage on this particular stock with a target price of 350 rupees. So the target suggests a 42% upside. We have NMDC as well. So Motilal Oswal has also raised its target price to 138 rupees from 134 rupees on this particular stock, and it expects NMDC to continue with volume CAGR of 11.5% from FY21 to 25 on the back of higher volumes in both Chhattisgarh and Karnataka. Shares of Infibeam Avenues were also up today. They were up to the tune of 10%. Now the company has received a perpetual license from the RBI for its bill payments business, and that is Bill Avenue, for operating as a Bharat Bill Payment Operating Unit under Bharat Bill Payment System. We also have SJVN. So the shares were up almost 8% in today's trading session after the company won the full quoted capacity of 100 megawatt wind power project at 2.90 rupees per unit. Lastly, we have Godrej Properties as well. The stock was up to the tune of 2% today, after the firm said that it has expanded its residential portfolio in NCR through the outright purchase of 62 acres of land in Kurukshetra, Haryana. Back to you.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I mean, real estate, has been very news-based of late. Ashish, we haven't seen the consistent buzz in the segment as we were a little while ago. Any pickings in that particular pocket?
So honestly speaking, Abha, we are not very aggressive in real estate at this point of time. But what we really like, manufacturing and capital goods as a theme, which can structurally do extremely well. And keeping that in mind, I think even cement is one pocket which is looking quite promising because petcoke prices, coal prices have seen correction, and there's a jump in cement prices ahead of the infrastructure demand which we are witnessing. So keeping that in mind, I think the proxy to the real estate play could also be a cement basket. So in that pocket, I think in the large cap space, Ultratech looks very promising. Stock in fact in this fall also stock has not participated. So keeping that in mind, I think Ultratech is poised for a move towards 7,500 kind of trajectory. So that would be my top pick in the cement basket. In the mid cap cement space, I think Dalmia Bharat looks very very promising. Stock is quoting at around 1,800 rupees, and I think 1,750 is an area where a lot of support has been witnessed in Dalmia cement. So Dalmia Bharat looks quite promising for an upside towards 1,950 to 2,000 kind of trajectory. So Ultratech and Dalmia would be our preferred bet in the cement basket.
All right, so those are a couple of those. What about defense, Ashish, when it comes to the PSU space, and again talking about that larger segment, that seems to be promising going forward. Would you, when it comes to industrials, when it comes to defense, would you look at that particular pocket with perhaps a slightly longer term view, given the kind of run up we've already seen on the likes of an HAL, for example?
Yeah, so yes, Abha, we have a quite constructive view on the entire defense basket, and particularly stocks like Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bharat Dynamics Limited, and BEL. Because if you look at order to bill for most of these companies, it's around 4 times. So clearly there is a strong revenue visibility for next 3 to 4 years time frame. If you look at the return ratios for most of these companies have improved significantly, and the ROE metric is also consistently above 18-20%. For a companies which are quoting at 13-14 time forward PE multiple basis, it looks like very reasonable valuation, strong return ratios, and strong order book. So this gives us a sense that these companies are going to witness a lot of strength, and that's getting reflected into the long term technical charts. Look at Bharat Dynamics. The stock did a correction from 940 to 800 in 3 trading sessions, and in just one trading session we have recovered almost 90% of the losses in one single trading session, and that too with a very strong volume activity. So clearly a signal that at lower levels there is a strong demand for these stocks, and that's where our preference in this space is Bharat Dynamics Limited, which looks good for 1080, 1100 kind of targets. On downside, I think obviously since the move is very very sharp in today's trading session, so the strategy should be to buy at current levels and use any dip towards 860, 850 to average down the positions. At the same time, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited also looks quite promising, trading around 25-25. This looks very promising for 2800 to 2850 kind of levels in a shorter term time frame. But from medium term perspective, it looks like stock is headed for a serious rally towards 3200 kind of trajectory. Again, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has a strong support around 2400. So keeping that as a stop loss, it's a buy at current levels.
All right. I'm interested. What about some of these pharma names? We've got a lot of them cropping up on the charts today. Suven, Natco, since Friday actually, because a little bit of movement shifted back to pharma and health given the news. Anything from a short-term perspective there?
So honestly, again, this is one pocket. We are still underweight. We have underweight, view on the sector. Only stock which we like at this point of time is Sun Pharma, where I think the specialty business is doing reasonably well, and that's where I think some serious re-rating is happening in Sun Pharma. And this is even before when this entire COVID-related rally happened in the last 4 trading sessions. Sun Pharma was a consistent, gainer, and that's why we think on a structural side this is one stock which is headed towards its a previous all-time high, which was seen in 2015, and it was around 1200 levels. So keeping that in mind, I think there's a good possibility of Sun Pharma doing a 20-25% kind of upside in next 6 months time frame. So Sun Pharma is our top pick in the pharma basket, but otherwise we have a neutral stance in the sector.
Okay, fair enough. Ashish, when it comes to IT, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, okay, let's leave out Wipro, maybe Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech. Preferred pecking order, even if you're underweight, would you still have one of them in your basket?
So yes, I think see in the large cap space, Infosys is one stock which looks very promising to us. Obviously, there is going to be kind of a sideways trend which is going to exist. But from a portfolio perspective, from a positioning perspective, one should have IT as an allocation, and in that pecking order, I think Infosys in the large cap space, persistent in the mid cap space, and from the product side or to play this entire case theme, which is connected autonomous shared mobility and electric vehicle as a mega theme. I think KPIT Technologies is one stock which looks very promising to us. So Infosys, Persistent, and KPIT, these are our top picks in the overall IT space, which looks promising. At a sector level, I think yes, because of the headwinds which we are witnessing, it looks like at this point of time the one need to be neutrally allocated. As far as overweight position is concerned, we need to see some kind of triggers to happen. So at current levels, these three names should start accumulating from a longer term perspective.
Sure. Ashish, what do you make of it? We're at the day's high. We've pretty much reversed Friday's fall, and we started by talking about this. But for somebody new to the markets, I mean, this kind of whirlwind cycle, it's 1,000 points down one day, 1,000 points back up the next day. I mean, how does one make any sense of it at all? I mean, what is some of the advice perhaps you'd like to leave us with today?
So we have always seen, Abha, that one cannot time the market, and one should remain invested. Only thing is that from a positioning perspective, ideally one should first start with quality names and prefer NSE, 100, top 100 names as a top pick. So in this kind of uncertain environment, when we are not sure what is going to happen, ideally what we should be doing is one should start accumulating something like ETFs. So Nifty 50 ETF is available, Nifty Junior Beast is available to play the entire top 100 names. And also, if one wants to be thematic, so like one likes PSU banks at this point of time, rather than betting on the individual names, one can even allocating to the PSU bank Beast ETF, and there could be a staggered manner investing. So let's say one can do a SIP on a monthly basis for next 3 to 5 months time frame, till the time we don't get a clear sense of the direction. So ideally, one should not stay away from the market. If you want to really generate long term wealth, one should start allocating in a staggered manner. And if you don't want to allocate into individual names, then we have some good ETFs available, which can be looked as an ideal SIP strategy.
Ashish, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing with us so many ideas and strategies. Great chatting with you. All right, let's wind up for the day. We've got a fantastic session, complete reversal of what we saw on Friday. Nifty up over 1%, back up above 18,000. Sensex back up above 60,000, 60,500. In fact, 700 points up, so looking good. Take a look at some of those gainers. Financials, PSU banks, 8% up on that index itself. Can you imagine? SBI, of course, had a fantastic day, 4-5% up on that counter, but a whole host of PSU banks that were moving and bouncing back. Private banks also up over 2%. The HDFC Twins, ICICI Bank, Axis, IndusInd, all of them looking really good in trade today. Across the board on the financials, and IOB was up, I think, at Circuit, for example. We had the entire list actually was moving, so we'll pull up some more of those banking stocks, but it was just pretty much everything on the banking side that was seeing some fantastic gains. IDFC, Bank of Maharashtra, Canara, like just name it, and everything was in the green. There you go, as you can see there. So it was clearly a day of financials, and the story really remains that with the economy continuing to be robust, financials are the ones that are going to benefit the most. So that argument continues to remain intact there. Outside of that, Reliance was a good contributor as well. We had a few auto stocks, metals, even though no one's really so positive on them right now given the overall scenario, but they had a pretty good day, and the heavyweights in that pack were actually looking pretty good. So we'll pull up some of those metal gainers for you as well, like a Tata Steel, which was up about 2.5%. So you get a sense of the action there. Let's also see what it was in auto that was moving. I'll just pull that up for you as well. But these were a couple of the pockets that were seeing some amount of traction in today's session. We'll also take you through a whole host of other gainers. An Easy Trip was up 20%. Mazgar Dock was up back again 15%. Cochin Shipyard was back. IRFC, Zomato 8%. Sri Lanka was up back about 8% or so. Tata Alexi, for example, Indiabulls Housing, Godrej, of course, a little bit of news there. 190%, 197 was up about 6-7%. KPIT was up 6%, for example. SCI was back. So you could see how a lot of those, there you have it. A whole host of broader market names were trending higher. Indian Hotels was up 5% today, so that one was also looking particularly good. Tata Motors was up about 5%. That's where a lot of the gains in the auto index came from. Cement remained intact, for example. So PB Fintech, 4-5%, one that's on Ashish's list at least. He's watching out for that one. JSW Energy was looking good. Prestige Estates was up 4-5%. Bharat Forge, BHEL, Apollo Tyres, Gujarat Pipavav, Mahindra Holidays, UTI AMC, a whole host of names. It was a great day, in fact, for broader markets, seeing a complete bounce back and re-emphasis of the trend. But when things look the other way and when we see that downward trajectory, it's really the broader markets that get hammered the most. So while nothing was spared on Friday, it was the broader markets that really saw the brunt of it. Today, however, everything's bouncing back and giving us no reason for concern. Let's just hope we can maintain that mood as we head in towards the new year, and hopefully with everyone on vacation mode, we'll keep any further shocks to sometime in Jan. Let's hope at least. It's only Monday. That's all from us this afternoon. Thanks for watching.